Good evening everyone and welcome back to All About Racing. It's been a few weeks off, but we're back again for F1 Power Grid's 10th season, and we're going to be all season long with the elite tier, now called Division 3. We're here at Sao Paulo Interlagos circuit in Brazil, one of the favoured tracks on the calendar. It's 15 corners, 10 to the left and 5 to the right. 2 DRS zones. It's an anti-clockwise circuit. It's 4.309 kilometres and 2.677 miles in length, and your best overtaking spots is down towards the Reta Aposta and into turn 1 at the Senna S. We've got the C4 soft, C3 medium tyre and C2 hard tyre for this event. For the standings, we usually would see them just about now, but we're not going to be able to, and we should have some standings coming up, but we're not going to get those either, unfortunately. So we'll go to this and have a look at that quickly for the calendar. We're here for Brazil for the first round of the season, on to Netherlands next week and China the week after that. And as you can see, a jam-packed 10-round season for Season 10. As we go into qualifying now, you're watching Mark in the Aston Martin make his way up the hill towards the start-finish line on a flying lap at the moment, and about to complete the lap. 2 personal best, middle and first sector. His 7th fastest, just above his Aston Martin teammate there with a 108.794. We've already had Ben set that fastest provisional pole time of a 108.3. We are looking at somewhere in the region of a 107.3 for the pole prediction time. It was around that time. I think it was a 107.2 the last time we were here with F1 Power Grid. Up the hill we go in this Div 3 with Lee Webb, as we watch Looney Man, an old familiar on the channel, going down into Cesar de Largo at the end of the Reta Aposta through turn 5, and now going towards Ferradura, where the rain is starting to come down. And will that mean it's an early end to qualifying, potentially, with drivers now desperately trying to get their final laps in? The other RB of Prof now coming around the final braking zone of Juncal, and up the hill through the last couple of corners of turns 14 and 15 before we make it up towards the start finish line. He will complete the lap, whether it was scrappy or not, because the rain is starting to fall. It's 9th fastest for Prof. He could have done a bit better, but it's better than nothing. We've got GFO still yet to complete his lap, along with Looney Man and Speechy in the pit lane, who should come out ASAP to try and get a lap time in. Looney Man with a 109.7, a few tenths down, 7 tenths to be precise, on his RB teammate, who is in 9th place. GFO coming into Juncal, the final braking zone, taking a lot of speed into the apex there as well, as we now rise up the hill towards the start finish line for him. Up towards the line, it's 13th fastest for the Sauber Ferrari driver. So Speechy now out on the track. Is it too little too late though, with the rain starting to come down? Maybe it will clear before the end of the session, but this may be here for the foreseeable future. As we've got others now on laps as well, as Ben SK, he's down on his original time. I'd be surprised if he can actually beat his provisional pole time. This might be a pole position early on in the session. He's invalidated the lap out of turn 5, so that is it for this run for Ben SK. Riley now again down like Ben was in that first sector by just under a tenth. Only a couple of corners in that first sector, of course, so pretty easy to sort of keep the time around the same. Speechy on a lap now, coming down the Reta Aposta towards Cesar de Largo. The only driver yet to set a lap at the 17 who have started proceedings today, and he has somehow used an awful loss of battery. He's hoping maybe to save some throughout the middle part of this lap, up through Ferradura here at turn 7 into turn 8 now, and the hairpin of turn 9. And as he now rises up the hill out of Young Cow, the last driver to set a lap. The track slightly damp, but still good enough for slick tyres. This is good enough to move up any positions. It's good enough to move up one. Oh, disqualified from the session for Jazz for blocking the pit lane. So Jazz will be starting last. It means Speechy moves up a place, as well as Clyde, who's now in 16th. So as you can see, we're actually back to normal with the streams now. I was able to sort out the laptop. Is Clyde isn't able to sort out the rear end of that Mercedes out of turn 8. Yeah, got the laptop sorted finally, so hopefully we'll have this for the entire race. As Jazz has left the session, hopefully he will be back before the end with just under 8 minutes to go. The rain's still falling and not making a huge impact on the surface, but enough for drivers not to be improving times now. So we've now got a sort of just over 7.5 minute wait time until the checkered flag by the looks of things, unless drivers retire early on in the session. Clyde slows up to the line. I've just realised as well, Clyde's got a lot of fuel on board, 17 laps of fuel, so won't be extracting the most out of his qualifying laps, even though he is down in last. That's probably where he is going to stay, seeing as what the conditions are like. The Grim Sleeper retires, thinking that the rain isn't going to stop and the track isn't going to improve. So I wonder if any drivers will get out there just to get a bit of a feel for the conditions. We don't know what the conditions will be like in the race. It could be wet conditions, so it would be a good idea for some of these guys to get out to get in some practice laps for the race, the 36 lap race that will be starting in around 7 or 8 minutes time. As there go, Jazz has joined back. I thought they would. Winsward now coming out of the final braking zone of Young Cow, which is turn 12, and then through the slight left of 13, and again 2 left-hand kinks of 14 and 15 after that. Before he could get to the final corner of turn 15, he just dived into the pits, hit that left-hander. So others now coming into the pits as Clyde stays out on intermediates, trying to get some practice in, I think, just in case there's rain that does come a little later on. So if anyone wants to get in the comments, have a thought about or have their opinion on who might be winning today. We've had a couple of comments a bit earlier on before I actually started the proper stream. Let's get a hello from Mark, and Dale says good evening as well. Good evening to you too. Hope you enjoy the content this evening for this race. Clyde invalidated again, just out pounding in the laps. The only driver out on track now, Maverick comes out. Looks like they're going to be starting in 5th. I think this is pretty much the grid order now, and just drivers just coming out getting a feel for the conditions. We may get mixed conditions. It's a likely prospect in Brazil to get mixed conditions. This Jazz is left again. Hopefully they'll be able to get back into the session. Here comes the Mercedes out of the final corner and then loses the back end on the curb, maybe just getting slightly damp now and losing traction as the Ferrari and Maverick comes through now. And we'll see the Mercedes get back on the racetrack just, and then does another spin there as well. As Maverick comes in, just an exploratory lap for the Ferrari driver there. So still, Clyde the only one out on the racetrack. Is Alligator is also out on the track as well. And the rain just stayed that sort of same intensity. Realistically, I think we're sort of between intermediates and dries as it stands, with just under 2.5 minutes left to go. As Alligator comes down into turn one. Obviously, we've had some livery changes recently and another invalidation there as well. But yeah, we've had some livery changes, just up-to-date liveries. So like the Alpine here, got that bit more blue on the nose. I did notice a few weeks ago the Alpines went back to their pink livery again, their BWT one-off livery. Well, it's been like 3 or 4 off now at this point in the season. They did run it at the start. Something else on Alpine as well. If anyone's watched the High Performance podcast before, I would definitely give it a go if you enjoy your podcast. We had Otmar Safnauer on there the last couple of days. I listened to it yesterday. It was very interesting, sort of the fly on the wall stuff, hearing about Alpine and his journey with them, a short journey that he had. Yeah, interesting. Gives a bit of insight into why they're potentially one of the reasons why they are 9th now in the championship. It's 9th, I think, isn't it? Is it 9th? Thought I was being a little bit harsh there, but if anyone can correct me or agree with me that they're 9th in the championship, Alpine, but I think they're really far down at the moment, maybe 8th. But if anyone's watching, can let me know about that. So, Alligator into the pit lane. And now just the wait as Atmos comes out of the garage as well. And we'll just have enough time to get one lap in. Clyde out still. And Nudiman, the Welshman, probably very used to this weather in mid-Wales. Maverick also out on the racetrack as well. So Looney Man will be the first one to see the checkered flag in qualifying. So unfortunately, it's been a very anticlimactic qualifying session. Looney Man dives in, doesn't want to take that checkered flag. We're just waiting for Clyde and Maverick, and Clyde comes into the pit lane as well. No, he doesn't actually, sorry, looked like he was. But he takes the flag, just waiting for Maverick now, who is coming into the pit lane. Or not, or is. So there you have it, folks, the final order for qualifying and what will be starting the 36 lap race here in Sao Paulo at the Interlagos circuit. Ben starting on pole, Lee Webb in second, Riley starts third, fourth is Winsward, fifth is Maverick, sixth is Royal Rumble, Mark is seventh, eighth is Atmos, Prof is ninth, Ratigan is 10th, 11th is Alligator, GFO 12th, 13th the Grim Sleeper, Looney Man 14th, 15th Speechy, Clyde 16th, and Jazz is starting 17th and last after being disqualified from qualifying for blocking the pit lane. We'll be back in just a moment. So as we wait on the grid now for the start of proceedings, looking at McLaren, the two McLaren starting 10th and 13th, Ratigan and then the Grim Sleeper. The Mercedes are not as promising, well, apart from Ben obviously starting on pole position and Clyde down in 16th place. Got one of the Salvas there, GFO, and Riley starting in third place. And then you've got the Racing Bull car there, as we've got obviously Looney Man and Prof in those two cars. The formation lap is now underway and it is hammering it down in Interlagos. So a quick look on tyres, everyone starting on that intermediate tyre. We're not sure how it's going to play out in terms of the weather, where it's going to stay like this for the entirety or not. But everyone starting on those intermediate tyres. Maybe it just wasn't wet enough for drivers to get out and start practicing in the qualifying session, which for the last 10 minutes really pretty much turned into a practice session, didn't it? Prof has been disqualified from the formation lap there and will be sitting on the grid waiting patiently with the tyres not up to temperature like they would have been at the very end of this formation lap. So just coming into Young Cal with the leaders now is Jazz. Just following at the back. Quite a way back as well, actually. A good few hundred metres behind the rest of them is that the other guys are all very, very close together coming out of Young Cal. As Ben now just starts weaving over the circuit to get the tyres warmed up. There's Prof sat in his grid spot after being disqualified. The pole position man does get to line up on the racing line on the right hand side, but if someone like Lee, but then he gets pushed back, was being far too aggressive in the box, too greedy, and it's cost him dearly. As we wait for the last few drivers to line up on the grid and we get ready for the start, as we've got 3, 4 and 5 red lights. And foot's flat to the floor here in Brazil for the start of Season 10 in the Division 3. And Lee Webb gets an excellent start up into first place. And Riley on the attack here as Ben's lost a place, but been able to gain that second place position back. But for how long? As we go around the Curva de Sol, he's on the outside here, but there could be more grip in these wet conditions. As we go down the Reta Aposta into Desida Largo, is he going to be later on the brakes than the Merc? He certainly is. Up into second place, and now Ben has dropped a couple of positions. Winsward and Maverick staying in position. Alligator up 5 places already, and we have a VSC deployed early on in the session. now it all just becomes a bit of a stalemate. We just got to wait. We haven't had very long under race conditions, only one sector, as we now just take a bit of a breather. 10-second penalty for a severe collision with This Is Clyde Royal Rumble. We'll have a quick look at the penalties already. Oh, Atmos as well, a 10-second penalty. So 2 10-second penalties and a 3-second. Already got 23 seconds worth of penalties in the first half of the lap here at Interlagos. And remember, the lap round here isn't a big one. It's a long one, should I say. It's 2.6 miles around this Interlagos circuit. So that is some feat to have 23 seconds worth of penalties in just, what, a mile and a half? Give or take. And look at this Royal Rumble getting eagerly close to the back of This Is Clyde as we go racing a bit harder now. It looked like the green flags were about to come out. Maybe not. Maybe some drivers were slightly jumping the gun on that one. As we got green flag racing again now on the second lap down into turn 4. Got Prof overtaking Speechy here. The RB versus the Williams on the outside at turn 5. Jobs are good for the Red Bull driver, and then we've got some contact in the background there with carbon fibre flying all over the place as Jazz loses a place there. In sector 1, tentative on the brakes into turn 8. Lee Webb already just over a second ahead of the next car. Looney Man has taken the fastest middle sector up to now of anyone. As we dash up the hill, as we rise all the way up to the start finish line and then descend again towards turn 1, and a real descent through the 3 corners of the Senna S. Lee Webb already, I was about to say that, maybe lost a bit of time there at turns 4 and 5. And we've got our first DNF of the day. It's GFO, who is retired of his own accord very early on to be doing that. And we've got Ratigan in the wall, and it's caused another virtual safety car. So I'm not sure how Ratigan's done that. Has Ratigan now been lapped as well? I think so. I'm not sure how. No idea how that's happened. Must have been stuck in that wall for quite a long time. So we've got green flag racing once again. That was early on. Is Alligator up into 4th place now, made up a huge amount of places. Here goes Winsworth on the inside, a bit of a lunge into the Senna S. We've got yellow flags flying again, and that's Ratigan out as well now, down to 15 and only on lap 4 of 36, as Lee Webb still leads the way, but Riley not too far behind, just over half a second, and then they've got 3.5 second gap to this man, Ben SK, who started on pole, now down in 3rd place. Alligator doing very well at the moment. 4th place for him, up 7 places. I would say our biggest gainer, but Speechy's just beat him out by 1 there, up 8 places for him, 7th place so far. Notice with the updates, as I actually haven't driven F124 at all, done a little bit on the controller when I've got to do a few bits and bobs for the streams. but never in anger or anything like that. Well, the one thing I have noticed, they've changed the engine notes a huge amount between the different engine manufacturers, and it's made a big difference. It's actually made it much more immersive, so a bit of a thumbs up there for F124 creators, but don't really get much more than that, do they? And here goes Mark to the inside at Curva de Sol after his teammate Atmos gets past the Grim Sleeper on the lap previous. They almost come together there as the Grim Sleeper now looks to the left hand side. He's inside, but no, nothing worked out for him, and has to stick in that 11th place position. And Lee Webb just able to get in a bit of a groove, get his teeth stuck into it. His Maverick's off on the infield there on the grass. Hopefully he can get back on the circuit after taking out one of the F124 polished styrene boards. And luckily the other bits of polystyrene actually vanished completely just behind the Grim Sleeper now as we move our way up the hill. And Looney Man getting very close to Speechy. His RB teammate was up against a Williams earlier on. It will have to be Speechy. He's the only Williams driver here this evening. Prof now down in 12th place, not sure how that's happened. Look how slippy the rear end of that Williams looks. It's really fighting on the edge of grip. Went off the track at turn 4 as well, so just really struggling with the rear end with these conditions. Looks like the conditions have got better since the start, 6 laps ago, around 10 minutes ago or so. So maybe it will turn to dry conditions later on, potentially. Here goes Looney Man this time. The outside being covered off and then Speechy out breaking him by quite some margin there as Alligator now up onto the rostrum, overtaking Ben SK after he started on pole position. Not even in the podium places now on lap 7. Is Looney Man going to go for a crack into turn 4? He is not. Royal Rumble though, he's surely going to have a go on an old familiar of Prof. But no, thinks better of it and stays where he is. So Lee Webb doing very well, got a yellow flag, that's for a Sauber of Riley, who's now fallen down off the podium down into 5th place, and it's got 6th, 7th and 8th, not too far behind him now as they come out of Meridula and into Young Cow, as Riley's on the grass as well, then goes wide and is holding up this group of cars behind, the 2 Astons, an RB and a Williams, as Ben SK now moves up into 2nd place, overtaking Alligator. But is he going to fight back again up the hill in towards turn 1? It's a 3rd VSC deployed today. And it's actually, apologies, it's been upgraded to a safety car. So the first safety car of the day, I can assure you it is, because I've seen the safety car actually coming out. As you can see the yellow dot. Other cars around them are going to have to overtake the safety car. Hopefully the graphic will change to the correct one, but I have a feeling it doesn't always do that. So noticeably, a handful of drivers have come in. Oh, does that mean the rain is stopped? And this man Maverick here may have made an excellent decision, along with Alligator as well. He's coming for a set of medium tyres, hoping that the cars will stay out, or the safety car, sorry, will stay out long enough for the track to start to dry up, or dry enough, significantly enough, for the drivers on intermediates to only have a lap or so until they come in for dry tyres, and hopefully the advantage will swing towards the drivers on the slick tyres. Almost already looks dry, I've got to be honest. So I think we're going to see a very, very, very busy pit lane here in Interlagos in only 30 or 40 seconds time, with pretty much everyone coming in for a set of slick tyres. Of course, the using two different compound rule, completely out the window when it's a start to a wet race. So we could do a medium, soft, hard, try and do a one stop all the way to the end on the hard tyres. That's also a possibility as well. But it is a safety car, not a VSC. Ignore what you can see in the top left of your screen. It is a safety car. Come in. None of them going to come in. Prof, he's decided to come in. So is Royal Rumble. Are any others going to follow suit as well? Is Looney Man going to come in? For example, Prof. 10-second time penalty for speeding in the pit lane under a safety car. There was absolutely no need to push the limit when coming into the box. That is a very, very costly mistake. Speeding under the safety car for Clyde, that is a drive-through penalty for him as well. A lot of penalties being racked up. I had a few weeks off, maybe a month or so, since we were with F1 Power Grid. And some drivers just getting a little bit complacent. Rookie mistakes happening. Prof disqualified from the session for blocking the pit lane. Oh no, he must have spun coming out of the pits, and it's disqualified him. We're down to 14. Commiserations to Prof, and Looney Man as well disqualified in the pit lane. Both RBs are out of the Brazilian GP. We're already down to 13. I think drivers are going to complain massively about that, especially Looney Man, because that was no fault of his own why that's happened. That is a great shame. We're already down to 13 drivers with only 10 laps gone. When we started with 17, 4 have already gone, 2 of them being disqualified, both RB cars. Whilst we wait, we'll have another lap under this safety car. I'm amazed more drivers haven't come into the pits. I'm amazed. Just keeping an eye out on the Discord as well, see if we can see any reactions from some of the drivers there who are now out. For Looney Man and Prof, that is such a shame for them. Nothing they can do about it. So frustrating though. At the moment it says safety car in this lap. it tells you that there has been a safety car. So the safety car now goes away, tries to get away. Ben holds up the pack. He's back in first place again, is Ben. Be interesting to see how long it lasts for him this time around. And it's his decision when they get us back underway again. He already has done. And we get back racing again on lap 12 of 36. And here comes the Red Bull of Lee Webb. Trying to make an attack there. So we have 5 drivers on the slick tyres. We'll see how they compare to all the others who are stuck with the intermediates. No spray coming off the rear end of the cars with the intermediate tyres on. That's usually a good indication that it is time for the slicks. An even better one though is when we see that DRS enabled come up. We won't get it yet though, of course, because the safety cars just come in. We won't get that for the first lap, but when we get back round to the start finish, we'll find out if it really is time for the dry tyre. Atmos there, moving up a place, getting past Maverick. Is he going to try and jostle for that position back? No, but he had a good opportunity to though, as Atmos did run quite wide. So we start lap 13. Is it going to say DRS enabled? I think it will. We're getting fastest lap after fastest lap. We're going to get the call for DRS as well. Not yet. By the looks. Not just yet. So driver's still deciding to stay on the slicks, and the driver's on the it's on the inside, sorry, the driver's on the slicks, having some trouble by the looks. Maybe not dry enough for those slick tyres just yet. A 10-second penalty there for Mark for causing a severe collision. I do think the penalties in this game are very severe, much more than they've ever used to be, especially with like the pit lane limiter and that kind of thing. It's definitely took another step in the harsh direction as the penalties on this game. Is Jazz, the man from the States, around and back on the circuit once again. But the drivers on the slicks really having problems. And Speechy getting a 10-second penalty as well. Winsword not getting one, nor is Jazz. And I think with that 10-second penalty, it's so much better to brake sort of 20-30 metres earlier, make sure you stop before the line, than just taking that extra gamble, because it's such a big, massive gamble. Now, the drivers going on to the slicks, more of them. Top 4 very close together, still no DRS enabled, not that I've seen anyway. Speechy with a 3-second time penalty there. I think he's already got a 10-second for speeding in the pit lane, so really not going well for him in terms of the penalties. The top 4, any of them going to come in this lap? Yeah. All of them decide to stay out. This is Clyde, is the only other driver that is still on the intermediate compound. A 117 dead for Mark, setting the fastest lap there. In terms of the drivers on the dry tyres, just not matching at the moment. You're looking in the first sector. We'll go with the last one, for example. 18.2 for the Grim Sleeper. It's an 18.7 for Alligator. We'll have a look once we go through the first sector. As Atmos within half a second of the next car. No DRS just yet though. I think now it's just starting to swing towards the drivers on slicks at this point. The track pretty much looks bone dry now. Looks, may not feel like that though, as some of these drivers have stayed out on the inters a bit longer than I would have thought or expected. But there you go. As Lee Webb takes the lead, and the top four will stay out again for another tour of this just over 2.5 mile circuit. See if Alligator can start. Just closing in there. Not by the looks. Not by the looks. We've got a comment. Yeah, so we got a comment from Looney Man there. He's just saying, got stuck in the pit lane. He didn't ghost. DRS enabled. There we go. So apologies, just had a bit of a lag moment there. Yeah, he was stuck in the pit lane and couldn't ghost, so was also sort of chucked into the same bag as Prof, and both were disqualified. Top four all coming in now, going on to a set of hards, and will be attempting to go to the end. Here comes Alligator and Atmos, who is overtaking him here. Here's Lee Webb as well, and then we've got drivers like Ben almost losing the car. We've already had people disqualified right here for losing the back end of their cars, and now it's first and second for Atmos and Alligator, with Lee Webb a few seconds behind, and now been overtaken by Maverick as well. That's not what he would have wanted. His Speechy is out, retired in the pit lane. We're down to 12 drivers. So no driver on the slick tyres now, as Atmos takes the fastest lap of 1:14.3. Maverick holding on to that third place position. He does have that time penalty though. Atmos being overtaken by Alligator, and then Ben SK into Cesar Largo, just squeezing in by the Red Bull of Lee Webb, and then Riley, is he going to have a pop into Ferragula? He definitely thought about it, and then lifted off, and too high risk into that corner. It's only just enough room for two cars to go side by side there. So we haven't done it today so far. You're watching F1 Power Grid on All About Racing and the Division 3, the first round of the season in Brazil. If you're enjoying the content, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. It would be much appreciated if you could just spare a second to do that if you haven't done so already. Thank you for everyone who already has done, by the way. Fantastic, and yeah, really enjoying F1 Power Grid, and hopefully up for another great season of racing on F1 24. And Atmos back into the lead again, dueling with Alligator, who decides to fight back here at turn 4. Back up into the lead again. So Riley's looking very quick on this 19th lap. Moss takes the fastest lap. Ben gets a 3-second time penalty there for multiple warnings. Not sure where he got it there. Must have been towards that pit lane entry. Here's Maverick tries to defend on the outside and gets the position back. Won't have DRS though to defend. So maybe that was just done in vain, really. Is he going to cover the inside? See the Largo thought about it. Riley also thought about a lunge to the near side. What I will do, just bear with me 2 seconds. I did just realise that we didn't. I don't think we ever put the link in the Discord for the guys, which we'll do now. I think Trouser did it for us anyway, so Trouser, if you listen to this later on or now, thanks very much, mate. Completely forgot about that. Lap 21 of 36 now, just over the halfway point into this race. We've got Atmos leading, but he has got a time penalty. The majority of the field have got time penalties. It's 8 of 12 drivers have got penalties now. Have a little bit of a nose at the penalties later on, sort of more to where the point where they're going to matter most. Fair play to Maverick, he's on those old tyres that he pit, I think, around the safety car, even maybe just before it, and he's been able to hold off all of these guys around him. Mighty impressive from the Ferrari driver. Alligator going to go for it again. It certainly looks like he is. He's going to have to go the long way round to take that scenic route. He's been forced to go that way. And then the old switchback, a bit of a shortcut for him there as we go up the hill towards Ferragula in Atmos's Aston Martin, just looking slightly quicker out of the corner and in a straight line, and holds on to that lead spot. But I think, yeah, he's got 3 seconds to his name to be added on at the end, and Maverick still, as I said, a very good place at the moment. Is Alligator going to go for it this time around? Back past again, and here goes Lee Webb, so close to the back of Maverick here. Is he going to gain the place like Riley has done just a few moments ago? No, he's going to hold on to that 4th place for now. I'm not sure if Maverick's going to be able to go to the end, and if he is, his tyres are going to be screaming for mercy right in the last few moments of the race. Oh, who's around there? Grim Sleeper. Another one that's having problems at turn 10. So, just about to go on to lap 25. Alligator looking in a very, very good position at the moment. Atmos just ahead of him, of course, but with that 3-second penalty. So, as it stands right now, if the checker flag came out on lap 25, Alligator would certainly win the race if he's still within that 3-second margin. Is Riley going to be able to catch up, though? That's the question. To Red Bull switch places here, and Winsberg goes off the track there and just clouts the wall. I think he got away with that just. I have to say, I'm pretty impressed with how well he kept that at Lago. Here comes Alligator again. It's quite like Groundhog Day between these two, isn't it? At the front of the pack. Probably will wait for turn 4. But Riley is catching up ever so slowly, just eking out. Gap and closing in. Here goes Alligator again. The medium tyre is working well for him. Are the medium tyres going to go to the end though as well? That's the other question. I think Atmos's hards will go to the end, and he's been very good out of turn 5. And Maverick back up into 3rd again. He's got penalties though. 6 seconds. Still got Lee Webb with 10. Still yet to serve that. The order is going to change up massively before the end of this race. And the Grim Sleeper rounding into the wall again. Not for the first time today. I believe he was one of the drivers to cause a VSC, maybe even it was the one that was upgraded to a safety car earlier on. As the sun now just starting to appear out of the clouds by the looks as we look from the rear view of Maverick's Ferrari, the only Ferrari today. As we go up the hill, is Riley going to go for the position here? DRS open, and look how much extra speed he has when the rear wing opens up, around that 20 to 22 kilometers an hour of extra speed. And it does him well, moving up into 3rd, 3.5 seconds, or just over that to the leader. 3.5 seconds to 2nd place Alligator, who is technically in net 1st place. Now down to 3 seconds, just under 3. These guys might be coming into the battle. We've only got 2 drivers left without time penalties. Sorry, 3 drivers without time penalties, and Alligator has to come in for what will probably be a set of soft tyres. Couldn't go to the end on the mediums. This really changes the complexity of the race, because Alligator is now going to be on the hunt. But has he got enough time left in the day, enough sunlight hours to catch his prey or not? Will he come out ahead of his Alpine teammate? He certainly will. He'll come out ahead of, this is Clyde, who is a backmarker car. It'll be very close between the two of them, actually. But he is a backed marked car. And he comes out in 7th. And he is... Let me just have a look at this quickly. Sorry, bear with me one sec. Oh, that's strange. They've changed that around. No worries, I'm talking to myself. So, it is... he's around 18 seconds. I think it's a bit too far along. He's gone for another set of mediums. Just needed to go for a set of softs. But there you go. Decided not to... Sorry about that, just had a slight connection issue there, so it wasn't you, it was my software that just needed a moment to catch up. Right, he should be able to catch up here. I've seen he's on much newer tyres. Actually, no, apologies, same age tyre as Atmos actually, but he is catching him up. Unfortunately, I don't see Alligator. I don't even think he's going to gain any places. He might do once penalties are applied for everyone else, but including the lap, or the next lap, should I say. We'll only have 5 laps to go, and it's an awful long way to go for him, or a lot of time for him to claw back in such a small amount of laps. Just personally, I just don't see that happening. This is Clyde is around at turn 9, sorry, the hairpin has got going again. Riley now down to 1.2 seconds. Is this going to be a very last minute battle for the race win between these two? I think Maverick's on more than 3 seconds. He's on 6. So he's practically out the running for the win. We go into the final corner and up the hill towards lap 33. Riley now within 3 seconds before So with 3.5 laps to go, who's going to take the top step of the podium in Sao Paulo? Royal Rumble with a 3-second time penalty. Still only those 3 drivers without penalties. Windsworth is one of them. I'm sure he'll probably get on the podium. 3 laps to go. Just over half a second separate the top 2. Both of them have 3-second time penalties. We'll keep that up on our screen for the rest of the race, just so everyone knows where they stand in terms of penalties, etc. Maverick overtaking Windsworth there. No problem for him though, he should get the podium anyway. Is Riley going to wait till the last lap, the penultimate lap? We see this so often though. I do feel like I'm a bit of a broken record when I say this. There's so many times where people wait to the last lap, and around now or a little bit later they just seem to make a slight mistake or just lose pace, and it's all over. They should have took the opportunity when it was there in front of them. So I wonder if Riley will do that, or if he'll hold back and wait for that penultimate lap or last lap to make his final decision, and hope it'll be the right one. DRS open for the Sauber driver here. Surely going to take the lead. He's going to try to do so. Up into the lead for him now. Alligator only 1.5 seconds behind Ben. He's actually not too far behind some of these guys now. He's actually seemed to have caught up quite a bit. I wonder if he'd have gone on to the soft tyres, he would have made a much bigger impression in this final stint. Out of the final corner of Young Cal, the final braking zone. The final true corner, should we say. And down the main straight. Is Atmos going to wait until turn 4? He certainly is. Very important entry to this corner. Open it up, make sure you can get the power down as early as possible to get on to the attack. DRS open for him, battery being deployed. Riley's going to have to go defensive here. He thought about it, he's going to try and go to the outside, squeezes the Aston Martin driver to the inside there. Nicely done from him for defending on the outside, and Riley keeps the position as we go up through Ferragula and up the hill onto the plateau into turn 8. And this could be a drag race to the line out of Young Cal into Pica Tapato and Bagulio down the long left-hander into Young Cal, turn 12, the final braking zone. Atmos is going to have an excellent launch out of the final corner, but I don't think he has, and I don't think he's going to get close enough. He is using all the battery, he is using DRS, but it's not going to be any good. Riley takes the first victory of the season in Division 3 of Season 10. Atmos finishes in second, Maverick finishes in third, Lee Webb finishes in fourth, and Windsworth is out of the Grand Prix with only a few hundred yards to go until the start-finish line. Here comes Jazz and Royal Rumble. I think he's going to get past Jazz. It's the Brit versus the American here, but I think the man stateside will come out on top against Old Man Blighty. And that's 7th place for the Alpine driver. The American in the French car and the Brit in the American car coming home in 8th place as Windsward will be finishing in 10th, I believe he'll be classified. Unfortunately, we don't have replays or anything like that. I wish we did. We'll be able to see what happened with Windsward. Mark crosses the line, a final car to finish, and that is the end of the Brazilian Grand Prix. And here is your final order. Riley finished in first and takes those maximum points. Atmos finished in second. Third place was Alligator. Maverick finished fourth. Ben finished in fifth. Sixth was Lee Webb. Seventh was Jazz. Eighth was Royal Rumble. Ninth was Mark, and rounding out the top 10 was Windsward, who did actually DNF on the last lap, and his class is 1 lap down. Mark also got the fastest lap as well. The Grim Sleeper finished 11th. 12th was This Is Clyde, and 13th was Speechy. No, sorry, he wasn't. He was the first one to DNF, or the final one to DNF, should I say. 14th and DNF'd was GFO, Ratigan, Looney Man and Prof all did not finish as well. Looney Man and Prof were actually disqualified for blocking the pit lane. Unjust for both of them, but certainly for Looney Man, so commiserations to them. It was certainly very, very unlucky indeed. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. We'll be back next week once again, and we'll have a quick look at the calendar for a final time. We're at the Netherlands next week, Zandvoort, for the Dutch GP. Technical circuit for next week, and then we've got China after that one. Just one more time for today. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, like the video if you're enjoying the content. Really do appreciate it. It means a lot. It helps a lot as well if you could subscribe, especially as a target sort of to get to 500 subscribers is kind of the first big benchmark of YouTube. So that's what we're really trying to aim for, hopefully before the end of the season. So just keep pressing that red button, completely free of course, as you all know. Just helps me out massively. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, everyone. We'll see you next week. Me and Lee will be back tomorrow night for Extinguished Motorsport. Hopefully, they've been struggling with their numbers, so we might have to postpone. I'm not sure, but we'll see anyway. Hopefully we'll be back tomorrow. If not, we'll be back same time, 8 o'clock ish next Tuesday for the Dutch Grand Prix with F1 Power Grid. Anyway, thanks very much. We'll see you next week.